sufficient for this day. And I thank you, whatever situation, whatever circumstances we're going to face, your mercies, your grace are going to be sufficient. Strengthen our inner being with might by the Spirit, O God, and help us to become a blessing to the people we meet, O God. Open our eyes to identify men and women who are so important to our destiny. And Jehovah God, will give you thanks and we'll give you praise at the end of the day. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay. Maybe this is one of the things that we need to pray for as a country, because parents with children in both primary and secondary school, well, are still wondering whether to send their children back to school after the two teachers' union gave contradicting status on the strike. While the Kenya National Union of Teachers, NAT, says the strike is off, the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers, KUPPET, says the strike is alive. Speaking during a session with the media, General Secretary of NAT, Colin Soyu, indicated that some of the remaining demands of the teachers that have not been implemented are being addressed.
And I want to repeat, the NEC has therefore today, the 25th of August 2024, agreed to withdraw the strike notice action, which was elapsing by midnight today, 24, and which have commenced, and we have commenced addressing the remaining matters, which should be addressed administratively. Meanwhile, we assure our members that the union is committed to resolve the matters herewith, failure to which we shall revert to the initial position, since the strike notice has only been withdrawn. In light of the latest development, we direct our teachers to resume duty effective Monday, tomorrow, the 26th of August 2024. We call upon our esteemed members to remain steadfast as we resolve the matters that are remaining at hand. So the catch point here is that the notice, which was to elapse by midnight today, has been hereby withdrawn by the National Executive Council. So the strike notice does not stand anymore. Solidarity. Solidarity.
Yes, sir.
Solidarity.
As Nat was telling parents, send your kids to school, the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers was telling parents, don't send your children to school because the strike kicks off today.
61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68.
Haya ni maneno ambayo yangeshughulikiwa kwa urahisi na tume ya Teacher Service Commission pamoja na Labor. Sababu tulipokuwa na masumuzo na wao, waliweza kutuambia kwamba wanatoa shilingi bilioni 13.3 kwa CBA, lakini hizo pesa hatujaziona katika payslip za walimu.
Purposes of addressing the developments of the strike notice which was given to government in good time, and having deliberated on the matters thereof, which included taking note that Teacher Service Commission, having been seized with the demands that the union presented, only addressed one aspect which had been presented as an item and left the entire 9 other issues not addressed, this council decided to vote that the strike continues.
Kuanzia leo usiku wa manane inapofika midnight leo, mgomo wa walimu utakuwa umeanza, na walimu wote ambao ni wa shule za upili, sekondari na vio ambao ni members wetu wa KUPPET hawatakuwa shuleni kuanzia leo usiku wa manane. Kwa hivyo mgomo wa walimu unaanza rasmi.
Well, as they sing Mapambano, Mapambano, Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka is now blaming the government because of this disorder that is being experienced in that sector, which has left many students joining universities placed in high-fee groups, which the families cannot afford. Kalonzo criticized the government, saying it has a responsibility to improve the lives of ordinary citizens who have special needs, and it should give priority to those living in poverty. Kalonzo was speaking at the 90th birthday celebration of Pastor Peter Wambua Mwamuli, who is the father of Kitui County Senator Enokeo Wambua.
Sasa kuna hali ya kutojua inchi iko wapi. Kumbukeni wakati mmoja mimi nilikuwa waziri wa elimu, and there was no confusion in the education sector. Right now, hata kuna mzazi mmoja ametoka Makueni alikuja na mtoto kuniletea tu kwa ofisi. Watu wa Kenya wanalia. And education is the best thing that you can give to your child. But today wazazi wengi hawana namna. Confusion in the education sector. Walimu ndio hao wanatishia kwenda mgomo. Mambo ni magumu. There's something drastically wrong with the structure of government. Jamaa anafuta cabinet yote alafu narudisha one by one. Sijui mwingine advisor, sijui mwingine nani, ati kwa sababu nataka confuse tu wa Gen Z.
A government that cannot educate its own children, a government that cannot feed its own people, that government has no business being in office. What they don't know is that huyu mtoto amesomeshwa na msaada, but because they are very bright, they have gone through the education system na amefaulu. Sasa unaua ndoto ya mtoto kwa kumweka kwa banda ambayo hata kwa wakiuza everything that they have, they cannot afford university education.
Living 90 years old, that's a blessing, I must say. I mean, if you look in the scriptures, there's a lot. That man must have treated his parents with a lot of honor, because the scriptures do say that, obey, honor your parents. It's the only commandment with a promise, and it's a promise of long life. If you don't honor your parents, then you're doing yourself disservice, because you're literally just cutting short your life. And also Psalms chapter 91 talks about, you shall satisfy him with a long life. So if you're not satisfied with life, you know what to do. The most interesting thing in that video, I saw Ezekiel Mutua with a microphone, and from the movement I could tell they were singing, and I don't know Ezekiel Mutua to have a very good singing voice. I'll find out from him. He's my friend. Anyway, as Kalonzo Musyoka was criticizing the president over the mess in the university funding system, the president was holding a meeting with university students at the KICC where he fielded questions concerning the new funding system, which, as I said, has brought a lot of confusion. The president defended the system, saying the new system ensures all can access quality education.
When I was minister in 2009, 2010, there were only maybe 20,000 students in our TVETs. I started the first 30 TVET institutions. Today, I am very happy that we have 720,000 students in Tibet from 20,000. And we have made huge progress. And we have closed many skills gap that existed. So I quite agree with you that we must not discriminate. It is the reason why in this funding model, we have enhanced scholarship and loans for our Tibet students, and also we have maintained their upkeep, just the same way we are doing for our universities. As for your case, when universities are being considered, they are being considered to provide university degrees. We were trying to discourage universities from also doubling up and doing diploma courses, because there are many institutions now. We have close to 250 Tibet institutions that can offer diploma courses. But the saving grace is that if you are a diploma student and you join a university after your diploma, you join as a second year, I think, you qualify for Higher Education Loans Board from there. And those are the instructions that we have given to the Higher Education Loans Board.
Well, I'm really glad that the president addressed that issue, and he basically fielded quite a number of questions to try and clear the confusion that quite a number of people are facing when it comes to the new university funding system. I loved the Uhuru system of funding university, where the government took care of that, because for some of us who've had, who have university students or had university students going through that system and have students going through this system, the difference is night and day, I can tell you. Then we were paying almost around 19,000 shillings. The government was catering for the rest. Now, we are paying over 120,000 shillings. So the difference is really huge, and we pray that the government can find a way of easing the burden for quite a number of people. Anyway, the other thing that we need to pray for about in this country is the war on illicit brews. The ACK Archbishop Jackson Olisipit and other ACK religious leaders hailed the government move to fight illicit brews, saying the church backs the move 100%. The leaders say that the church is at the center in the war against the brews which are ravaging the society.
The church can gather and say, why are our community, and I know the Deputy President will be passionate about this, being ravaged by drunkenness and illicit brews? The church has an answer. It can gather and say, no, I went to my village recently, and women of my village came out and decided there will be no bar and nobody selling illicit brews around here. And they went to challenge the chief and everybody in the village.
Especially, as His Grace said, when you do fight drug and substance abuse, we are ever so grateful. That is part of the mandate of the church, and you as a Christian and also as a leader, we want to say thank you that you have always accepted to do that.
Well, the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, who was in attendance, also thanked the church for getting its hand dirty in the fight.
We are steadfast as an administration in fighting illicit brews and drug abuse. And we want to thank the Church of Christ, including our ACK Church, kwa vile tumeungana kusaidiana. Watoto wetu, kwanza vijana, walikuwa wamepotea. If we had not made a decision to fight these brews the way we have done, in another 10 years, we would have lost an entire generation. Vijana wetu walikuwa wanalala kwa mitaro, wamepotea, wengine wamepoteza macho, wengine vijana wameoa wasichana warembo, bibi mdogo amelala kwa kitanda, kijana analala chini ya kitanda. Ni ujinga, si ujinga? And we were losing families, but I'm happy families are back. Men have taken responsibility to take care of their wives and their children. They are productive, they are working. We are very happy, and we want to ask the support of the church. Your Grace, continue being the conscience of the nation. Continue playing your rightful role of oversight. Where we as an administration, you feel we have not gotten it correctly, please speak out. Help us. Tell us here, you need to rectify, you need to improve on this one, you need to do much more on this one, and this one you are doing well, continue.
I also support the war against illicit brews 100%. Now, I've always asked in my mind, and I constantly wondered why, in some churches you have, security men right in front when the preacher was, giving his word. And I guess I got the answer why. There's this priest who was ministering to his people, and then some woman out of nowhere just came. And let me not explain. Watch this.
Parabéns. 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 Parabéns.
Well, that must have been a very painful fall. And the shocking thing is done by a woman. Ow. Anyway, let's take a look at what is happening in the dailies today. We start off with the Standard. Crisis in school, what we were just talking about. The strike kicks off today in secondary schools. Kupet said that they were going to, their teachers are not going to go to school, and so the secondary school students should stay at home, while Nat says that, the strike is not on. Their members are going to go to school. So there's a lot of confusion and crisis also. As you know, this is the third term. There are students who will be sitting their last exam, primary exam. So this is definitely going to put them in a very weird position. Then, in the same front page of the Standard, we have President's Men. Now, it's a very interesting read. If you get hold of this newspaper, it's one thing I think you will enjoy reading, because it talks about the inner circle of President William Ruto, the current inner circle. And it talks about Musalia Mudavadi, guess who? Raila Odinga and Haji, who is the NIS director, being the closest, tightest inner circle within President William Ruto's government. Notice Rigathi is not within this. And these are the people who are helping him to try and regain popularity ahead of the 2027 election. The president lost a lot of brownie points during the time when the taxes were going up and up and up, and Gen Zs went to the street. So he lost a lot of brownie points. He's trying to win them right now by bringing that inner circle. Let's see how that plays out. The second page of the Standards, family battle diarrhea, malaria in Budalangi, displaced camps, and millions of Africans are facing malnutrition. That's according to IGAD. And then blood spots on baby girls' diapers. False menses it is. Okay. The inner part of the Standard, you say uncertainty over KCSE exams as teachers make good their strike threat. And then you have a debt headache for Ruto amid credit downgrade, meeting Gen Z demands. The back page, I think this Arsenal super sub Trossard proves his worth again. You know, the strangest thing is that Arsenal won over the weekend, and now you meet Arsenal guys, including one of our guys in the studio. His name is Simon. They walk around as though they've been winning from the beginning of the year. They've never lost a match. And you start to wonder, what is happening? They won a match, just one match, by the way, and now watu hawezi kaa na amani everywhere you go. And in the Star newspaper, you got counties, cash crisis, governors up in arms, lots of supplies, jobs were supposed to be paid but are yet to be paid. That is according to Mutula Jr., the governor for Makueni. So there's a lot of crisis within the counties as they struggle to get cash. The government has not disbursed the monies that are supposed to be disbursed to them. And in fact, you find that some of the counties are struggling to pay their staff. And then there's some interesting news from Haiti, where Kenyan police officers have gotten new 24 armored cars. They've got armored cars that will help them now engage the militants or the gangs within in Haiti. They'll be able to move around and get the guys who are causing problems in the area. Then you have stories within there inside Raila's 8-point plan for Africa. Then it also talks about the confusion in the schools. And then Governor Sakaja. You know, if elections, I literally voted for him in the last election because I thought I was going to see something really brilliant. He had good things to say about this county and what he was going to do. I know probably you don't agree with me, but if the elections were called today, I literally would not vote for him because I haven't felt his presence in the city. The city still, there's nothing to write home about. And in the Star newspaper, he explains or gives his achievements and says that rivals don't scare him over 2027 re-election. You have every reason to be concerned because I was one of those people who voted for you and literally took a lot of flack from some people as I told them I believe in what you said, but you still have 3 years. Let's see what you're going to do. But so far, I haven't felt you. That's just me. But in the Star newspaper, he gives out what he has achieved. I don't know about you. Maybe you can share on our Facebook. Tell us whether you felt the presence of our governor, Sakaja, whether some of the things he has done, you felt his leadership in the city. You know, he was supposed to divide the city into boroughs. That still remains a shadow. Nothing has happened towards that. Well, one man's poison is another man's meat, they say. Then we have Kenya eyes larger milk export market as production increases. That's good. Then this must be Gore. The back page of the Star newspaper, we have Neva cautious, Gore ready for defending champions Al Ahly of Egypt in the next round. So get your Standard newspaper, your Star newspaper to get that. Well, in the Nation newspaper, the headline screams out, "This is our plea." KCSE candidates are urging the government to solve the pay dispute to avert the tutors' strike as the event-packed third term begins today. This as the two main teachers' unions are split on the industrial action. The rift emerged last evening when NAT withdrew its notice just hours after Kuppet had voted to endorse the boycott. Then, still on Haiti, Daily Nation says that police are facing pay delays. This is according to their relatives, and you know they're supposed to be paid by the United Nations. And then there's page 3 has special units used in Wanjigi home raid. Very interesting. Get that and basically get details of the same. And then let me see whether we have more interesting stuff. Ruto Gachagua and the game of numbers in Mount Kenya region. Both of them are trying to at least hive off something in the Mount Kenya region. Then the back page of the Nation is literally Egyptian giants up next for Gor, police. These guys are supposed to jet in and play these teams. So that's just a brief of what you're going to get in the dailies today. In a couple of minutes, I'll be having some of my friends coming in, political analysts coming in, so that we can discuss what is happening in the country, including the teacher strike, and then the power games that are being played by both the president and his deputy. And 2027, we look at what both the president and the governor of Nairobi, Sakaja, need to do to win. All right? Let's take that short break. When we come back, tuangalie hiyo maneno. Ama namna gani? Good. He's a journalist for a very long while, worked with very auspicious media houses, international for that matter. And then he also wears a hat as a businessman, and also wears a hat as a political analyst, having played major roles in the election of some of the people that we have known for a life within the political scene. So he wears quite a number of hats and definitely knows what he's talking about. We're expecting also Mulamba with us in the studio in a couple of minutes or so. But anyway, we'll start off the teachers' strike. Welcome, Muriithi.
Thank you.
As a president, I've tried to put myself in the president's shoes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, your finance bill has been shot down, meaning you don't have money.
Yeah.
The credit ratings internationally, you've been downgraded.
Yeah.
And now you have the teachers who've gone on strike. The matatus have also been threatening. They are going to, obviously the matatus don't have anything to do with salaries, but there have been quite a number of strikes happening.
Yeah.
How do you handle this at a time like this?
Well, I think it takes God. you get to some point you need God to help you.
Yes.
Because we were here when we were having the Gen Z crisis.
Yes.
At that time, time was ripe for the transit for the soldiers to Haiti.
Mm-hmm.
The budget had been, the finance bill had been shot down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a lot that was going on. Mount Kenya politics was changing, which is actually the strongest base for his election.
Mm-hmm.
And with this kind of changes, because it's at that time we had this, we were at the height of friction between, two factions in Mount Kenya. And I think at that time he hadn't taken too much consideration of the repercussions that would be. Again, while they were doing the budget and everything, I think they were just too busy to listen to what the ground was really saying, even concerning the finance bill. So when things just erupted, I think it must have caught him off guard. And you could see the confusion, all the statement written on his face. And I do believe that right now he's actually getting his footing, although it's a bit tricky because without finances is quite a problem. I do believe that maybe if Kenyans choose to understand that choices have consequences. When you shut out finance,
that statement, choices have consequences.
They have consequences.
Yes.
And we've been saying this,
yes,
that rejection of the finance bill was good. But the unfortunate bit was that majority of those who were against it, we didn't even get time to read it, or even understand what exactly what was good, what would be saved, and what would be discarded, what would be suspended, and all these kind of things. We didn't understand it, so we just overly threw it out and said, disqualified that whole thing.
We threw out the baby with the bathwater.
With the bathwater, yeah. So Kenyans are now feeling the effect. And the effect is that we gave the government the best of excuses. The finance bill, and there's no money. So this, again, is hurting every sector of this kind of the economy of this country. Be it in infrastructure, it's affected. Importation of whatever item is actually affected. Come to the recurrent budget thing, which has to be the recurrent expenditures, which have to be looked into. Suspension of the payments of to suppliers. These are things that now have come up as a result of that one statement. We don't want this thing to go on, and if you have to do it, then they didn't give options. So it's quite tricky on the president.
So now the teachers, are you telling the teachers to hold their guns?
What I'm saying is,
yes.
What I'm saying is that in real wisdom, and I believe that's what maybe the NAT faction did. One bird in the hand, or a bird in the hand, is better than two in the forest. If the government has chosen to spend 13 billion on them, and which was almost equivalent to phasing out the second, clearing the second phase of their CBA. I think NAT side sat down and saw who was to lose most, having gotten part of the bargain. But when you talk about 9 points, you want them met, and one of it has been met with 13 billion. I'm not saying that the government has done so well, because until the day they shall abolish all bursaries and consolidate them into the Ministry of Education and set up authorities and blah, 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 that's a discussion that should be looked into. That's the time we shall be having things a lot more easier. But in the meantime, there's 13 billion for the teachers. And I believe this was actually disclosed when Kupet had a meeting with the TSC. And the salary increments were actually it actually came into play. So I think the NAT decided just not to be selfish, and decided to consider the plight of the parents and the children, knowing too well that this year they're going to have the grade 6. I think grade 6 are doing the exams.
Yes.
And grade 6 mostly, because we don't have grade 8.
Yes.
They're doing their KCSE. It's going to be up to grade 9 next year.
Yes.
But I think losing out on such because of the selfish interest, NAT decided to let loose the noose. But I think, contrary to the NAT opinion, Kupet decided to tighten the noose, and that's why they are on strike for their own selfish interest. They deserve what they demanded, but I think when you are making demands during a time of crisis, your demands, your quest becomes unpopular, and this is what might become of the.
It has a bad taste in the mouth.
It has a bad taste
for the citizenry of the country. I mean, you look at the fact that the country is struggling.
Yes.
And then you're making demands for more. Where is the money going to come from? Because we can be fighting for a piece of the cake.
Yeah.
But we need to find out, okay, how do we cook the cake first? How do we bake it? Then demand the
before you discuss the proportions.
Yes.
Go find ways of how you're going to, or whatever is needed to make the cake.
Yes.
And that's now what's in the hands of Kupet, because it's going to be a tough thing. I mean, a tall order for them to discuss with the government, which has already offered 13 billion, and assume that the other 9 points will be settled immediately. That's going to be tricky. Civil servants are coming up with their strike.
Yes.
And I think this is a replica of what we experienced in 1997 with all unions, parastatals, they all went on strike.
Yes.
That included even financial institutions like KCB. You wonder, I mean, on salary issues.
Yes.
And I hope we don't get to that kind of, to that level. So I'm hoping things are going to change, and we can only be hopeful that things are going to turn. I mean, things are going to turn around beyond our comprehension and beyond our capabilities. Because if agriculture produces well, maybe there'll be some reprieve somehow. But these other industries, unless the economy is running smoothly, then I think and it can only run smoothly if it's facilitated with finances and tax money. And if the taxpayers are the ones who feel burdened, then I don't know how it's going to be 2024, 2025.
The economy, the school sector is facing a lot of confusion. I mean, there's this strike going on. At the same time, there's the new funding system that was introduced for the university that has not touched down well. It has not had a very safe landing. Its landing has been very, very rough and turbulent.
Yeah.
And in fact, I was impressed yesterday when the president held a meeting with university students. Some very tough question. When my first daughter went through university, and that was during President Kenyatta's term, I mean, the government was taking care of that bill.
Yeah.
The only amount we needed to pay, like me, probably was 19,000.
Yes.
Right now, I have to fork out over 100 and almost 30,000 shillings.
And that's per semester.
Yes, per semester.
That's per semester.
Yes, per semester. 130,000 shillings. And I can imagine it's not everybody who's able to do that. It's very deep, and it pinches.
Yeah.
It gets you thinking, and you have parents who are facing a lot of situations now.
Yeah, it's quite a problem. Now look at it this way. The other day we were looking at the budget that was released. We had money that was set aside for, I mean, actually touching on education was actually coming to around 1.3 trillion. There are too many mouths to fill with whatever money is set aside by the government for education. And I just want to call them conduits, because had they been useful, then I think would be having,
Had what been useful?
Had the funds been useful previously and even today, I think the government, the people parents would actually, or Kenyans would actually be experiencing this kind of, relief. Let's see. State House has got a budget. It's called the State House Education, I think something, allocation. The Office of the Deputy President has got some funding.
Still for education?
Still for education. The Member of Parliament has something for education. You look at NGAF, the one for the women, they all have their bursaries and everything in it. MCAs are clamoring for it. while the governor is still doing the same on the same people. If we can consolidate this fund and give it to the Ministry of Education and set up authorities that will offer oversight for tertiary. Separately, we have another one for secondary, another one for primary. Then I think we would have things running. Reduce them to that point. Because when we have the Ministry of Education, State House, something like State House fund, State House bursary fund, or State House whatever fund, such fund.
Yes.
And something like over 100 billion goes to it. It beats the intelligence. If we can have all this money go to the Ministry of Education, then the Ministry of Education disburses to whatever departments it will set up to ensure that education at primary level, at secondary level, at tertiary level is almost equal to free. That's what we would be looking forward to. But you see now, when we have all these departments, then it means there's a lot that will be lost.
There's a lot of duplication wastage that is going on.
And that's why we actually having money going too much to waste.
Yes.
The other day you heard that the CDF has been transformed into doing something else. I don't know, for the cybers, every ward. But the question is, how many years is the cyber construction? Have they actually stated whether it's going to be under rental premise, or is it going to be the CDF constructing this property?
Yes.
Because an allocation of 30 million means we can construct and equip the cybers. And for how long are we going to do this? Because it has only come out as something for the wards. Then what? It can be done in 1 year. Then what happens? And you've already taken up now the threshold for the threshold for the CDF, NGCDF, to 150 million. Yeah. While we are facing this financial crisis, I think something must be done, and I think the president will have to be very keen on this, because he'll be misguided on many things. Imagine it was the president who was trying to explain to the students about HELB.
Yes. If the students themselves don't understand,
it's hard to understand.
Yes.
Even the parents themselves can't understand.
The students don't understand it. The parents don't understand it.
The society does not understand it.
Yes, and when something is not understood, it is misused.
It's misused.
Yeah, because the students are as the people who consume it, are literally the ones who are supposed to explain it to people.
Absolutely.
But now the president has to explain to the consumers what they are consuming.
I was looking at the help thing and this banding thing they're talking about. And I'm wondering, you're getting details from the child who does not know where and when and how certain parent who is in this informal sector is earning, because they too have students in students in the university. They have children in university. I think the mind these professors had, they were looking at themselves employed, waiting for a salary at the end of the month. There are people who have very inconsistent income. Today it's 6,000. The next minute is 50,000. The next month is 25,000. The next month is 15,000. There are people who are having such inconsistent income.
You don't have a certain amount you're expecting at the end of the month.
Absolutely. So how do you go into making a judgment that this person belongs to category A or category B? Secondly, life changes. Circumstances arise, and fortunes also get affected. And somewhat you're not able to afford what you could afford yesterday. Okay? Now, when you go with the same format, that when I was in primary school, because they're going by past history, let's say I was living in Mudangari, and I've just decided to move to the Kibagare village there because things maybe hit me so hard while I was, during Corona time. And there are people who actually experience this kind of, transition from that status to another, lower status of life through earnings. And what you're saying is that if you don't consider that and assume that income is constant, then You assume that today I'm earning 16,000 and next year I'll be earning 16,000 or 6,000 is a big lie and lack of understanding in the professors who sat down. And I'm talking about professors because they must have been the one who advised the president. When you sit down to say that this person's life will remain the same, I mean, there are so many ways of life change, I mean, that cause life-changing effect, and things go down, go so well, others go down, you know. So how are they going to handle the case of a child who is suffering poverty next year while the parent who was actually in that category now is blessed and is now earning more than they were earning last year, and here they still remain in that band? That means that there's somebody who's going to miss out as they continue. It's going to be very hard for them to ensure that
I wish
fair.
there was a way they would consolidate all these funds you're talking about, the ones in State House, the ones with the members of parliament, women rep, the ones under the governors. Consolidate all those amounts, make those provisions, but consolidate them and put them, in a fund to fund free education for all, so that whatever amount you're paying is minimal. It equalizes, it gives us an equal platform for both the have and have-nots to be able to go to school. If I have a lot of money and I don't feel like taking my child to a public university, let me pay whatever amounts I'll pay in a private.
You see, even if I confine my thinking into the public universities, if we consolidate these funds to the Ministry of Education and ensure that we are making this thing as affordable as possible, then it means that they do away with this kind of model, equate everything, let all be equal, because it has gone down, increase the funding to the help, multiply times 2, times 3, take it to help, which means they can get more than enough without much bother. Check out the interest thing. Is it possible for the banking sector to allow a constant interest rate for students favorably, you know? We say if they're going to pay back maybe at, I don't know, is it, I don't know what percentage it is. Let's assume it's 8% or 10% or 14%. And maybe they bring it down to around 5% and it stays 5%. Even after you start working, that's unlike any other loan that you get from any other area. Once you start, you get into the outer world. But while dealing with that loan, then it remains constant because the funding and the financing of the help is actually coming from the taxpayers' money. The government would definitely find a way of filling that gap. So I think it is possible with them, just the way the Islamic banks operate. They give their people at lower interest, but somehow they fill the gap that is required by the CBK. And that's if that formula is working for them, it should also work for help. It should work for help.
True.
So we need help. They increase the funding, do away with these funny modeling thing, funny model that they introduced. And no matter how passionate the president is with it, currently I would say it is a model that is not going to augur well with either the parents or either the students or the parents side. But for the institutions, yes, they will have money. But for the students and the parents, I mean, it's going to be tears.
It takes it back to the elitists.
Absolutely. So whoever comes with a different option, even during elections, that means it can really hit him so hard adversely.
Because right now, as it is, it has made it look like an elitist system where only the rich can be able to afford a university education. And that's really sad. And you mentioned
that's the paradox.
Yes, you mentioned about the election campaigns. We'll talk about the president and what he's doing for 2027. The dent he has taken early this year, and how probably he can change his, his fortunes as we head towards 2027. But let's look at the Nairobi governor, Johnson Sakaja.
Yeah.
Well, Sakaja just highlighted the story. He was enumerating his achievements in the city, and mentioned quite a number of things that he says he has achieved, and that he's not shaken by his rivals come 2027 because of his performance. Yeah. You live in this city.
Yeah.
How would you rate Sakaja's performance? From 0 to 10, 10 being the highest.
I would actually give it 6, to be fair.
6?
Yeah.
What has he done? I would give him 2.
Okay, there's something like employment on the youth. Because when you look at the guys who are actually dealing with the trenches, I know you didn't experience, with the floods and the heavy rains that we had, we didn't experience much flooding because the trenches are being dealt with, and this is a consistent exercise that goes on with the youth that were employed. You remember there was a time he employed around 3,000 of them, and they did quite a lot, and they're still working with the county. And when we see them within the estates and everywhere, we know the spots and areas which used to be, terrible with floods. And if it's not happening currently, then I think it means that's a score. Looking at the Dishina County, which is a major. When you meet your child who has come home full with having eaten fresh food, which would have cost you not less than 70 shillings. That's in a shanty zone. That's the rates in terms of food per plate. Eating food that, different varieties. Times they have beans and rice and such things, green grams and the like. It's a diet that is not same, so it keeps changing. In terms of nutrition wise, the kids, looking at them, having seen most of them, the kids' behavior, they feed well while amongst other kids, and when they are feeding the same food, somehow the confidence is restored. And if you look at the health of some of the kids who come from areas where we say they're not financially advantaged, maybe find a kid at maybe a place like Harambee Primary. They have kids from Buruburu, they have kids from City Carton, they have kids from Kariobangi, they have kids from Jericho, they have kids from other areas where they're not really financially equal. But when you discover that these children are actually eating healthy food for 5 shillings only, I think it actually has some good effect on any parent. And that's what I'm saying to the parents, that becomes a plus. And if you look at these kids, they eat to satisfaction, to the fullest, because some of them, and I've seen areas where we have too many, majority of the parents are at that disadvantaged level. I have seen this thing working for them, that the remaining food, some kids are actually taking food to their siblings at home.
Oh.
Yeah. These are the kind of things I have witnessed. I've seen kids where I spend my day around the Donholm area. And I asked the kid, kwa nini hukumaliza chakula? And that kid tells me, ini ule mtoto wetu. Nilikula yangu lakini niliongezewa. These things are happening. So when you talk to a parent who happens to be a voter concerning such, they will tell you that to me that one is something that will cause me to vote for this guy any other day. However, there are lots of things that need to happen. We had seen him also introduce the new customer care center at the City Hall Annex. It was good, running so well, when it was having some young guys who were I mean, the young guys who are serving customers there. But all of a sudden, I think maybe jealousy got into some of the staff, and somehow he allowed the changes. Now we are having it slow as it were before, because the guys who are actually heading to retirement are the ones who have now taken over. They are the ones who have taken over.
Yes, and, the golden oldies.
Definitely sooner than immediately. Very soon, things are going to actually get back to where they were. The default setting of the.
I know you interact a lot. I know you interact a lot with their services. So there were young people, but right now the old people. Yes.
The old guards came back. Now they're the ones who are there. It has become slow. And somewhat, whatever information you're getting, it has become slow because you see it's all digital systems running there. And you know, with age, beyond 45, I mean, these are people who have started slowing down like us when it comes to, I mean, gazing at the screen all the time.
Yes.
So if Governor Sakaja would take it back to where he had his vision, I think things would even work better.
When I look at some of the plans he had at the beginning, he had grandiose plans, turning the city into boroughs, like the UK, and having somebody in charge of each borough. That has not happened, and it looks as though we have slipped back into what used to happen long time ago. If you talk to people who interact a lot with the county government, they will tell you that the level of corruption has actually gone up.
This is what happens with the county. Replacement of cartels. A new regime comes, new cartels come in. They replace the other cartels, and they come with their strategies. They come with their ways of chewing, the taxpayers' money. And this is what happens. He's now dealing with another force. While you thought you were dealing with the other one, you're dealing with another force. And every cartel always makes sure they are connected to the top.
To the top as in to him?
Somewhere where there's power.
Yes.
Power to protect.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's very hard to deal with such people.
Yes.
And that's why he's facing it a bit rough. There's some people you cannot even sack, yet you're the governor. There's some people you can't deal with because they're there for a reason. Yeah. And this is the Nairobi County. We can talk about any other county. It's the same thing.
So if the elections were called today, would you vote for him?
I think with me, I have I don't have much problem with him. I've not sat down to think deeply over his performance, but I've not seen much.
Yes.
Because days I used to be in the field of entertainment.
Yes.
In the streets of Nairobi, somewhat there were too many restrictions, especially from the county's Department of NEMA.
Yes.
But somehow when he came in, he has allowed the youth, especially who are in that field, to at least earn a living out of it. And deliberately he said so, and he allowed it. So what I'm trying to say is that there are so many things that may go his way. It's only that I think Nairobi was just very far. Maybe if I would have gone by Governor Sonko's attitude and mission and vision, maybe Nairobi would have been transformed.
Under Governor Sonko?
Under Governor Sonko.
What?
Attitude and vision. Governor Sonko was not operating alone.
Yes.
He had a team of advisors. He's a guy who knew his weakness. Okay? So he had experts who would advise him. The likes of PLO Lumumba. That committee. Remember that committee?
Yes.
That team? Yeah. He had it. And the thing I like about his attitude is that Governor Sonko embraced anything that is innovative. So anything that is introduced to him that would actually transform the city, he would actually give it a thought. And that's the good thing about such a guy. That's what I'm saying. If he still remained, things would have been different. Things would have been different.
Oh my goodness. I would.
But let alone his theatrics.
Yes.
Set them aside.
Yes.
The theatrics scandal.
Yes.
Because those ones, he used to use them, I mean, to earn some political scores or just divert your focus to the theatrics and forget this bit of work so that he can have it easier. I mean, everybody has got his own tactics. And
if elections were called today,
but with Sakaja, I think Sakaja may not have it so hard for him. And what he's doing right now in terms of politics, he's actually wooing, just the way His Excellency the President is doing, wooing the voters who were supporting the other side of Azimio via ODM. And
right now, he needs to woo those people who voted for him like me. I can assure you, unless he does something so unique, so out of this world.
If on the ballot paper it appears names like Tim Wanyonyi,
I would go Tim Wanyonyi immediately in the morning.
And Gakuyo.
Yes.
Gakuya.
Yes.
They may not seem to be strong, but they can split his influence.
Yes.
That would now be actually put him in a very precarious position in terms of surviving the 2027 elections. Because Tim Wanyonyi can score big time from the ODM support and the Luya band, and also those two. While maybe Gakuya would capitalize on what he would be riding on right now, the relationship between, the interest that a certain faction of Azimio has on Tim Rigadi, on the Mount Kenya support, because there's a sizable votes in Nairobi from Mount Kenya region. So definitely, that's what I'm saying, it would be a bit tricky. So politically, he must try and play it safe.
He has to do something.
He has to do something.
And do something so unique that will get somebody like me who voted for him. I mean, I campaigned for him within my peers. And right now, I have nothing. When they tell me, you see the person you voted for, what has he done? You kept on telling us here things. I have nothing to answer. So for me, straight from, unless something just happens, how Gakuyo, it got to a place where you could say, when you mention his name, you could say the things that had changed. Right now, if I mention Sakaja, I struggle to mention things that have changed. Literally almost nothing.
Okay. I'm actually not campaigning for him, but I can ask you, since the lighting in the city started, and today you can see it's almost everywhere. It's like daytime. I mean, in almost every other area. Maintenance of the lighting has been very consistent. It's not like before. You could be having the bulb now has actually blown up, and you need a replacement. It takes ages before you have that, or you do it yourself. It was happening while we were still having the former regime, but today I can tell you that we don't even know when they replace these things. So we may not see some of these things, but they're happening and they're running, and they're actually happening on a daily basis. So maybe we talk about the quality of some of the roads that they're doing. There's massive corruption, when it comes to that department that deals with construction and infrastructure. That department is extremely corrupt. And City Hall, corruption, I think dealing with corruption at City Hall would be the hardest thing. And it would take State House to assist. If State House does not assist the Nairobi County government to deal with corruption, then it becomes a problem. So if some people use State House to do whatever dealings they do, then it becomes a problem.
I think the only reason I would vote for Governor Sakaja if it's when if the only other person would be Babu Owino, because it looks like Babu Owino is seeking the position of governor for Nairobi. The only reason I would vote for Sakaja if the elections were called today is if its greatest rival was Babu Owino. I would vote for Sakaja to keep Babu Owino probably from that top position. That's the only reason. So Sakaja, and I'm in the company of quite a number of people who have not, we've not felt you. We really haven't felt you. Maybe our expectations were very high.
I actually took you to the ghettos where the votes are.
Yes.
And every politician tries to make sure that, to ensure that where your impact is felt, I mean your services are felt well and better, is actually where the votes are. Well, majority of the voters are, So I don't know how you're looking at it, but I think okay, Babu Owino would be a competition, but not quite in Nairobi. But he's done well in his Embakasi East. He's done well. Kando na mdomo yake, but he's a good guy in terms of service to the people. Selectively though, but he's doing well because he knows where to touch. But he has two options. He has Nairobi and he has Kisumu.
Yes.
Because I believe Governor Nyong'o is not coming back to vie in 2027. So having come from, lived in the Kondele area, he has a lot of influence in terms of Kisumu politics, and I believe he's also eyeing that. So
all right, let's jump, because I can see we have little minutes to go before we bring the curtains down. Yes. Let's now look at President William Ruto, who also faces, his is Herculean.
Yeah.
Because he came in with a good support. People had, I'm one of those guys again, a lot of support. I believed he was going to perform, miracles, turn, everything.
Yeah.
But things have not worked as well. He has struggled. He inherited the problems. In the course of solving the problems, he created new problems that have made him. I don't think we've had an unpopular president like we have now. He even I think it's gone beyond Moi. He's become so unpopular, and with a certain group of people.
I think, for a while, and I think he still remains a political strategist. And actually an independent political strategist. He's the type of person who would sit down to do his own strategy. And whatever comes from you as a contributor to whatever he would do once he becomes, he's able to tally with what he has in his record. And that's President William for you. Now, with what he had in mind and what maybe political science teaches, being a political scientist, you may actually be taught by somebody who has done it in theory and is a highly elated person in terms of academics to teach you on how politics is. But until you go to the ground to vie or to play the politics, then you discover the ground is different. So he may apply the political science principle that once you have an influential campaigner or chief campaigner, make sure you don't souse the guy and you don't use the fellow second time. Such things. Those are principles they learn. And if you do, make sure this person is now towing the line and this person is subject to whatever commands or orders you give. Now, with Rigathi Gachagua, he's smart in this game also because he's been there and he knows what is happening in terms of politics. He knows what the highest office does in terms of planning an election strategy, and because he's been there with Moi.
Yes.
These are people who are being consulted how to handle whatever election. So he knows exactly. He has an idea of how these things could be running. And that's why, while they try to attack him from the left, he runs to the right. Before it even hits him, he's with the people, And that is the unfortunate thing that for President William Ruto, that had Gachagua not clicked, that his influence and power would actually rest on the people who elected them, and found a way of endearing himself to these people once again after now being elected, it would have been so hard for him and easy for the president. But now it became so hard for the president and easy for the deputy because he has created a kind of narrative that now is guiding the political mentality.
Yes.
That much as you like it, you must run to where you started.
Yes.
The people who made you, you must always consider them. And there was a time people were trying to, when Mount Kenya speaks or Mount Kenya gathers in a meeting, that becomes political. When Western gathers in a meeting, that's development. When Nyanza does that, is a Luo Union for development, is a Kamba nation for development. These are the kind of things we are witnessing. However, when you look at the Mount Kenya thing, when Mount Kenya gathers, for whatever cause to the advantage of the people of Mount Kenya, it was politicized. And Gachagua has been able to dispel that kind of politics until now we understand and agree. Because you cannot talk about Western Kenya without making reference to Musalia Mudavadi currently.
Yes.
You cannot talk about Nyanza without referring to Raila Odinga currently. You cannot talk about Mount Kenya without referring to Rigathi Gachagua. Much as we may consider him to have been a novice in politics. I think we now understand that if you walk into something with that fresh understanding and what is going on, then definitely you make your impact and you make sense. So that's very hard for the president.
Yes.
If he continues in that trend, he might lose Mount Kenya, gain a bit of Western and a bit of Nyanza, because the exit of Raila Odinga will actually again transmogrify the politics of Luo Nyanza and Western Kenya.
Yeah, but if you look at what is being said right now, the inner circle of the presidency is now Raila Odinga, Musalia Mudavadi, and Haji of the NIS director. Welcome, Mulamba. Unfortunately, we're just about to finish. Maybe you can lend your thoughts into this. The president has taken in a new inner circle, and he's doing this to try and heal or maybe correct some of the things that have been done to his popularity on the ground before 2027. Do you see this actually gaining traction?
Well, I have known the Luo people to say, not to sound tribal, to be worshippers of Raila Odinga.
Worshippers, yes.
Yeah, really worshippers. He has a cult-like following, just like, say, Prophet Owori Ed. And it's not a bad thing, because he's built a legacy for himself for so many years. He's been the face of activism, the face of agitation for so long. And people identify with him from the days of Moi to when he was prime minister in Kibaki's government, and even before that, when he differed with his father and showed real spine in standing as a politician and as a leader by himself. I don't think many leaders in this country have that profile. And so it's been so hard for so many followers of Raila Odinga to unsubscribe from him.
Yes.
They follow him to wherever he goes. They followed him to Kibaki's government, and they forgot the Kibaki they were saying is bad in 05 during the referendum. They followed him to the Uhuru government in 2018, and they forgot that Uhuru stole the elections in 2017, because it is clear to the entire world that the elections in 2017 were rigged. It was proven beyond doubt. They have followed him now to Ruto's government. Raila Odinga was the biggest critic of Ruto, I should say. And now he's forgotten that Ruto was so bad, and his followers will soon forget that Ruto was so bad, and they will follow Ruto like they did to Uhuru. If you remember the conversation pre-2022, almost every Raila Odinga follower out there, saying as an alumni, or should I say alumnus, were defending Uhuru Kenyatta, given his vices, given his ills, even after he pilfered and plundered our country to the grave. Because most of the debt problems we have now have their genesis as early as 2014, when Uhuru played some games with the constitution and changed, I think they changed the structure of borrowing arrangement that was in the constitution so that they would borrow without anchoring debt on projects. So that's how we have so much debt that's inflated, that we've already paid for, but is still inflated, doesn't come down, and was borrowed for no specific project after all. You cannot show where this money went to. You cannot show any project, any infrastructure that is financed by these projects, but the money was already borrowed and it was repaid in quotes. It was repaid because our debt still stands at somewhere around 10 trillion, even after we've repaid the debt for the 10 years the 10 years Uhuru was in government. So now they will follow him to Ruto's government, and they will forget Ruto is the problem. They will forget Ruto is corrupt. They will forget Ruto is tribal. They will forget Ruto practices cronyism. They will forget Ruto is the master of evil. And
you know, you almost remind me of the Gen Z's demonstration. I mean, those are the words, you know, people are alleging. Do you see his strategy right now gaining traction for him in 2027?
Yes, the strategy Ruto is deploying, he knows that, and he thinks that, he knows that Raila was the chief opposition leader in this country, and he thinks Raila is still the opposition leader in this country. He's forgotten that opposition has moved on from Raila Odinga and is cult-like following. The Gen Zs and the rest of the population, including millennials and the other generations who have unsubscribed from Raila Odinga and from such conmanship, are now the new opposition. They've forgotten that opposition cannot be pegged on someone because it is not a political office. It can shift goalposts, and we have, and it already has. So he thinks that he's going to build on the social capital that Raila has amassed over years, and gain the numbers that Raila has all over the country, because Raila has a following in the entire country, and is going to use these numbers in 2027. We don't know if Raila is going to keep his word, because they must have had a 2027 agreement before the dishing of the CS seats and so on. Raila may decide to jump ship, but if he doesn't, because it didn't jump Uhuru's ship, if he doesn't jump ship, there is no assurance that the rest of the country is going to follow Ruto like a god, because we have a population now made up of young people who are fed up with the political class, myself included. We are tired of their games. And I have come to live the true words of, I've come to prove Wole Soyinka wrong, because the great author said that it's only in Africa where youths clap and cheer when the political elite regroup to steal from them. And we've said no, and we've shown the entire country that we are not okay with their political games, and we understand them. They are the same monkeys. There are different monkeys in the same forest, and we are not okay with them regrouping almost every time, because coalitions come, and pre-general elections agreements come almost every election cycle, and it's just a rearrangement of those that are always at the top to try and gain themselves, to try and gain power and gain access to government, either through the back door or the front door. And we are the ones who suffer. And that's where we are saying we are not comfortable with that, and we don't want that. We want to prove Wole Soyinka wrong. As youths of this country, we do not want to follow the political class anymore. We understand we ourselves can be the new political class, that we can vie for seats and we can bring that change that we want, and that we have the numbers to put, to vote in the right people, and those that have shown a good credit score over time, and they have a performance rating that's beyond reproach. Yeah. So,
well, who do you think we, Muriithi, do you think we have people in the country's leadership right now, or within the boundaries of the leadership that we see, that have what he's talking about? The credit score is very high. They are without reproach.
Let me first start by advising the youth of this nation that, much as they discard the past, is the past that has made them who they are. Much as they think they have discovered something, that something was not born today, it was not created today, it has not been acted today, it was acted before. And I'm not saying that they're not doing a good thing. For the first time, we are having the youth standing on their feet to declare something. You get the point? But the sustenance of the declaration is what I'm trying to look at. The energy that is there. Because as human beings, because they are human beings too, personal interests will always emerge at some point in time. Just the way it does where they are, maybe in the institutions of learning. You discover that before they even, like I've always said, before they even do the elections to, elect any individual, they always vouch for that individual, and they have reasons why they should vote for such a one. Now, the reason why you would find some people are not for the people you're praising today is because maybe you don't have their history. Maybe post-election is not part of their of their points to consider when they're doing this analysis. And they may not know where it came from. They may not know when we talk about 42 tribes against one. You will call it old timer, but you need to understand that when you talk about 2008, now segueing into that kind of system that was actually established through the peace accord, is something that doesn't go down well, especially with people who are there before you. So sitting down with people who are there before you and ask them so that you can be able to design your way, than disqualifying them and dismissing them totally, you may actually end up losing the battle, and your energy and the oomph will actually die soonest. Once you understand where you've come from, if you understand that the problem that we have is actually somewhere within the Constitution, then deal with it. But how do you deal with the Constitution if we don't read it? We shut down the finance bill, and I told you, had we read the finance bill, we would have known what is to be discarded and what's to be saved. So we would be having a finance bill. But what have we done? Choices of consequences. They may complain about help and everything and every other thing that should be coming to us, to the youth and also to the society. But we gave them very good reason. Without the finance bill, it's very hard. You saw case number A, case number 2, case number 3. And so we have not been able to do much. Now, these are the kind of consequences that we suffer. We came out en masse to challenge this thing. But you see now, we have to actually enjoy, not really enjoy, but have a taste of the bitter pill. But we learn through experience. And what the young generation came up with is something that is worth being, embraced and encouraged, so that it can be carried into the future. And like we always say, now that they have the ability to study, read, understand, expound, do anything, scrutinize every bit of it and bring it to the point of understanding, then we should do it right. I was there in 2010 when I did my submission at the Kiplagat Commission and 206, and I said, it's time now that we understand how to make our own constitution. Why don't we make a constitution that suits or befits the 2045 tribes, than start thinking about what is happening in America, which is struggling with racism, a bigger demon than tribalism, which we have survived with until they say that belonging to tribe A or tribe B is wrong. What's wrong with him being from whatever tribe he would belong to, or him or you or any other person. I mean, it's a personal choice. I choose to love you for who you are, what you believe in, and be my friend. It's a personal decision. But why have we demonized this? Because they have demonized it. Okay? That's why we need our media to help us and also create platforms that would actually allow our youth to be equipped. Now, when we have this understanding with what now the Gen Zs have come up with, that, hey, we can challenge the finance bill. Yes, we've challenged the finance bill. On what grounds? Not all actually understood. Actually, 20% took time to read a bit of what was in the finance bill. And they could have seen some of these bad things that were put in it, which the deputy president was warning the president that there are some things ambayo umewekewa kama mtego. But while they were entering into doing the second reading, there are some things which had already been marked as deleting, you know, which means they'll be thrown out at the point of voting. We never allowed that. The youth did allow that to happen because had it happened, it was at that third stage that it would have been now entered into a new document that whatever was marked for deletion would be deleted at the vote, because that's the procedure. Now, the procedure itself, parliamentary procedures, even not so many people watch parliament, so we may not understand much of these things. And I believe it's time we begin to watch, to make parliament our favorite station than maybe watching music on phone or maybe on TV. It's time we engage ourselves. If we want to participate in football, then I must actually begin to do
understand the rules.
Research on football and understand the rules of football. So that's what I would actually advise the youth. We were there when we were saying vijana sasa tumegutuka. It was 2007. There was a time we said vijana tujipange. I think it was around 2012. I don't know, something like that. Now we have the Gen Zs. They've come with theirs. And eventually we discovered that the people who are actually funding and facilitating this process of tujigutuke to whatever
are the same
guys we're actually kicking out. So
your last comment, I can see our time is done.
I don't know, this is an unpopular opinion, but I would agree with Senior here that we have a long way to go. Those that have been doing this for some time, like myself, understand parliamentary procedures, understand standing orders, take time to watch KBC, and follow parliament proceedings. Many of our young people, unfortunately, don't have time for that. They have a short attention span, so they need something that goes for like 2 minutes. And it's the truth. It's the generation we are in. They want a short parliament clip of someone saying something funny on TikTok.
And probably it's been taken out of context.
Yes. Like the very demure, very mindful LeBron Jules stuff. So they want that. And TikTok understands that, and they give them that. I think YouTube understood that, and they brought the YouTube shorts and stuff. Instagram brought the reels and stuff, and it's a worldwide thing. It's a generational thing in the entire world. So we should cultivate a culture of reading, a culture of researching, a culture of following up stuff, a culture of being invested. If we really want to understand politics and play the game, we need to be invested in it, because as he's saying, and he is absolutely right, most of my friends didn't even read the finance bill.
But they were in the streets.
I was the one explaining to them why the finance bill is bad. So ni kama homework unafanya haraka haraka jioni, 10 minutes, okay, this is what is bad and this and this and this. There was no aspect, there isn't a consideration of what was good in it. I understand as an economist that we need a finance bill every year, or possibly every 6 months to have this country running, because we need to have a policy on how to collect money. But then the biggest problem, as per me, was how the taxes were too many bumped up together. And I think that was the agitation for and the source of the anger that we saw in the entire country, that we thought that the taxes were okay, but there were too many and too punitive and all lumped up together. If they were to split this between two bills in 2024 and 2025, the finance bill would possibly have gone through. Save for a few protests here and there. It wouldn't have been as massive as it is. But I want to submit that we possibly misread this entire thing. My analysis from a long-range view is that we never got to the point of a revolution. And they can't see that because most of them are trapped in a certain bubble, and they're doing this for the first time. I've done this for close to 8 years, so I know how I know how to read the mood. And I read this even before we started, and I spoke it, and some people were like, what are you saying? We're going to attack this government and so on and so on. And I'm not saying this in the aftermath so that it seems I'm justifying what I thought before even we began. But I felt we've not gotten to that point as a generation where we have enough information about the government, where we feel informed enough to get to the streets and articulate everything. Point out the ills in every ministry, point out the ills in the presidency, that is the president.
So we never got there.
We never got to that moment, and we're building that moment. And that moment is usually gotten through public participation and civic education, which we don't follow. I have participated in civic education for close to 3 years now. I have followed almost every civil society umbrella and Uraia. I have done civic education with Siasa Place and other civil society organizations. Most of my age mates don't even know what civic education is. They just understand education is trying to create awareness and sharing some information to someone. But they don't know what it entails, what civic education actually is. To understand your duty as a citizen, your responsibility, to understand the Constitution, to know you have a right to defend it, to know you have a right to defend the sovereignty of this country and to ask for accountability from government. They don't really know these things. And I'm not saying this to appear as if I'm better than them, but I've been invested in leadership and politics for a long time because myself I have ambitions to lead this country in whatever perspective that God will guide me through to. But some of them who do not have deep roots and deep interest in politics have not been following these things. They've been comfortable with different things. They've been following different things on social media. Go through their social media profiles and see what they've been following, what they've been liking, what they've been watching, and you see it is nowhere near politics, nowhere near leadership. So it's something that came up with a wave. So we need to build that moment. We need to build into a revolution. But the lull we have now doesn't mean that we're done. We've just taken a break, like I said last time, that a game has two halves, and possibly a game still goes to extra time if it's a finals. If we're doing a finals, we still have a second half to come and an extra time to come. So we can still rebuild, but we have to get the information out there. We need to have youth reciting almost everything that I can say even when I'm sleeping. We need them to understand leadership, to understand governance, to understand devolution, to understand how the government collects revenue, alternative sources of revenue, alternative ways of raising money apart from tax. We need them to understand why we need taxation, and we need them to also understand voting procedures in parliament. We need them to understand how parliament works, how the judiciary works, so that now we can get to a consensus to build into something that now when we say we have real hate against the government, we can really articulate in whatever language, in every county, in every village, why we are against government. And that way we are going to have a real revolution.
Okay, I got to bring the curtains down on the show because time is fast spent. Thank you, Mureithi. Thank you, Mulamba. We'll definitely make time for this. There are other things that are happening behind the scenes, and mostly so when I believe globalists are trying to take control of this country. They're trying to keep people from farms. There's some rules and regulations that have been introduced that people don't know. They are the most ridiculous things you've ever heard. And we'll make time, so next time when we come, we'll have conversations surrounding this so that you can know what you're getting yourself or what your member of parliament is getting you into. Well, I think we are done. All right, later on, don't forget that we'll be taking a look at some of the things that are happening within the counties in Gatuzi. Right now, one of the things is the counties are struggling. They've not received any funds, so there's a problem there. And we'll keep you updated on the strike that is supposed to be going on, mostly so in secondary school. So don't go away. We've got a lot of stuff for you. Beautiful. Thank you, Jennifer.